Can you guys see that? Yeah, I totally penned myself on accident making notes for this video. Anyways, speaking of making a mark, the launch of the RAV4 Prime, or if you're in Japan or Europe, the PHV RAV4, it's now upon us. And the vehicle is available starting June 8th, which at the time of this recording is actually in the past, and that was in Japan. And we're expecting it to hit the States by sometime in August of 2020. And Toyota has just announced a bunch of new details for the market-dominating crossover. There's just one big problem, and that is availability. And in today's video, I'll be going over all the recently announced details, but more importantly, how impossible it will be to get your hands on this plug-in performance, super amazing hybrid RAV4 Prime. Welcome back to the channel, Luxurious Sleep. My name's Kirk if you're new here. This channel covers everything Japanese auto related. So make sure to hit the subscribe button, bell icon, so you won't miss any of my upcoming videos on the RAV4. Most of you probably already know the primary details of the RAV4 Prime. 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds, which is 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in about 6 seconds. Battery electric range around 95 kilometers in certain cycles. Here in the United States, that's going to be roughly 40 miles of pure electric range. But we got some additional information here that gets me pretty darn excited. Many of us have been waiting for the specifics of the hybrid traction battery and the capacity, for example. Well, now we got it. That is now 18.1 kilowatt hours. Voltage is at 355.2 volts, and capacity is at 51 amp hours, which all contribute to the efficiency and the acceleration of this awesome vehicle. Now that we know the battery, what about the gasoline engine and electric motors? Well, we have all that information as well. The A25A FXS 2.5 liter 4-cylinder inline-4 engine makes about horsepower. The front electric motor actually makes more than the gasoline engine at about 179-ish horsepower and 200 pound-feet of torque. And the rear motor, which is standard, of course, makes 53 horsepower and about 90 pound-feet of torque, which contributes to you put all them together to about 302 horsepower. Cruising range for us Americans will be very similar to the standard RAV4 hybrid, which is expected to be around 550 to 600 miles on, let's say, a full tank of battery and gas combined. Hey guys, if you like my content, make sure to smash the like button. That will help me massively with the YouTube algorithm. Okay, so the rest of the details I have right here on my notes to help make this pen mark on my shirt. Miles per gallon is at least calculated off of my numbers, about 46 miles per gallon. But I expect that to go down based off the range we've seen. So I'm expecting actually about 40 miles per gallon in normal hybrid mode. We do have now pictures of the 1500 watt accessory power and the vehicle power connector or the charging connector. So with a full tank of gas, this thing can act as a generator for up to 3 days, and that's at max power output of 1500 watts. So if you weren't maxing that out, you could use, with a full tank of gas, the RAV4 Prime as like an emergency vehicle during a hurricane. It just blows my mind that something like this can do that. But you know, when you're paying $50,000, it better be able to do something like that, right? Okay, it has 2 charging rates, and I apologize in my last RAV4 video, I said, oh, the 3 kilowatts charging, that's gonna help charge your laptops and your phones. I had a brain fart, I was smoking something good there. Just kidding, I don't smoke, but that 3 kilowatts was for charging the vehicle's battery. That is on the SE. You get 6.6 kilowatts on the XSE. Now, what does that come out to in terms of charging capacity, and how fast can you charge the battery based off of those 2 charging speeds? Well, at 3 kilowatt hours, you can charge it, in my guess, in my calculations, about 7 hours overnight with a standard plug-in, here in America anyways. And the 6.6 kilowatts, you can charge it in about 3 hours. Now, the Japanese spec model, and I don't have the information on the European model, but the Japanese spec model has a 5.5 hour charging rate, and that's on the faster of the 2 rates at AC 200 volts and 16 amps. But the standard rate in Japan is AC 100 volts and 6 amps, and that will take 27 hours to charge from 0 to 100%. You also get remote AC. Check this out. So you guys know I got a brand new, well, new for me, Prius. If you can see here, it says AC on the fob. I can remote start my Prius with air conditioning. Now it only does it for 3 minutes because of the limitation of the hybrid battery in there. Well, in this RAV4 Prime, you can do the same thing. There's an AC, I'll show a picture of it, an AC button on the remote. You can also do it on your phone, and you can get the air conditioning started in your car up to 20 minutes before you ever sit your warm butt in there. I just thought that was pretty damn cool. No pun intended. Despite the bigger battery pack, or the addition of the big battery pack in there, and the electric motors and so forth, you still get a spare tire in here, which is super cool. Am I overusing the super cool? Probably at this point. Now, if you want to learn more, you can watch the TFL video. They actually got their hands on a RAV4 thanks to Toyota sent them a RAV4. And you know, if I got one, of course you guys would watch it too. But this is the best I can do right now. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. But if you want to see more hands-on, go check out their video. Now, this is where things get a little bit dodgy here. Toyota is advertising the RAV4 Prime, or the PHV, to the end of the world and back. It's technically the worldwide flagship for the brand, which I would mark, if I were in charge, I would market it the same way because it is the best-selling model worldwide. The problem is that Toyota could be over-promising and under-delivering with this Prime. Not on the product or the specs or the capacity, performance, miles per gallon, none of that, but on the volume and availability of the Prime and PHV itself. So let's hop on over to the recent dealer leak from the Chicago area. Okay, so we don't need to read this part. You guys already know that. This second part, at this time, production of the RAV4 Prime is extremely limited, and it may take multiple model years before each dealer in the region is offered at least one unit. With this in mind, the Chicago region will be allocating one RAV4 Prime per dealer based on total RAV4 hybrid sales in 2019. While we can't currently honor any sold special orders outside the initial one per dealer, we will do our best to accommodate the dealer preference for a specific model and or color for the one unit a dealer receives. Now just keep in mind there are multiple colors, right? But there are really only two models, the SE and the XSE. The SE will have full hybrid capacity, full acceleration, just really dialed back on options. And then the XSE will be kind of loaded to the gills, especially if you get the optional package there, which will give you tons of extra benefits. So definitely watch my previous video because it will explain the package differences there and trim differences. Now moving on, we understand that the demand for this vehicle far exceeds the available allocation. It is our top priority to allocate the RAV4 Prime to all regions as efficiently and strategically as possible, while also meeting our regulatory ZEV, which is zero emission vehicles, and their requirements to prioritize specific regions with a higher natural demand for plug-in vehicles. First thing that comes to mind is going to be bigger cities and of course California. Please make sure the limited availability is communicated to your teams so customer expectations can be set appropriately. Customer expectations have been set to the moon and back, Toyota. You can't stop talking about this vehicle. And you're telling your dealers, okay, well, make sure to tell the sales staff that we're not gonna have enough availability to moderate the expectations. No, you just advertise this vehicle and you still keep doing it because it is amazing. It's a home run. The problem is you haven't told anyone. You have to keep it on the hush that it is not gonna be available. Okay. Rant finished. So availability seems to be virtually non-existent for America. What about other places in the world? Based on the Japanese press release for the RAV4 PHV, Toyota will be making roughly 300 units per month for the Japanese market. And using this data, I was able to hypothesize some mind-blowing numbers on my super futuristic Google spreadsheet. All right, let's just focus on this green line real quick. And that's obviously Japan. That's all the information we have so far. And we have the 2019 RAV4 sales, which was about 54,000, which divided by 12 gets you about 50 or 4,500 per month. We know that the RAV4 will be made, or the Prime will be made in about 300 per month. So that makes the ratio to entire volume to RAV4 Prime, so all RAV4s being made, just 1 in 15 in Japan is going to be a RAV4 Prime. They only sell the RAV4 in a specific type of Toyota dealership in Japan. That's called the NETS dealer. There are lots of different dealers in Japan. I should probably make a video about it, but 102 NETS dealers. And so divided 300 by 102, that's roughly 3 primes per NETS dealer per month. That's not too bad, to be honest, but let's keep going. So looking at USA, the United States sells about 450,000 RAV4s a year, and that includes hybrid, non-hybrid. So divided by 12, that gets you 37,339 units per month on average, right? Now, this is the crazy thing. I don't expect Toyota to make the same ratio of RAV4 Primes to normal RAV4s like they are in Japan. The United States market is a different beast altogether. I threw out a guess that they're going to make one plug-in hybrid RAV4, which is a RAV4 Prime, for every 250 normal RAV4s. That means there are only about 150 RAV4 Primes made each month for the entire United States. So you look, there's about 1,500 Toyota dealers throughout the United States. Each dealer will be getting, on average, 0.1 RAV4 Primes per month. So you're not going to be seeing really any RAV4 Primes here. And going over to Europe, they sell about maybe a quarter to a third of what we sell here in the United States for the entire Europe market. And that would translate to about 11,000 RAV4s per month on average. Now, I expect their ratio to be much higher. I expect it to almost match that of Japan. Emission regulations are much higher in Europe than they are here in the States. So let's say that they match. I don't know if they will or not, but let's say they match the ratio of one RAV4 Prime or plug-in hybrid to 15 standard RAV4s. Well, pretty much in Europe, it's all hybrids, RAV4 hybrids, normal hybrids, 1 to 15. That gets you 739 RAV4 PHVs per month for the entire European market. Now, Europe, being that it's so segmented, they have a lot more dealers than we do in the United States, even though it's about the same size in terms of volume. Western Europe is about the same size of, let's say, maybe continental United States. I like geography, but I'm not perfect at it, okay? So you have 3,000 dealerships for about the same space. Now you have a lot more RAV4 Primes being made for that same space. So on average, it's still only on average about 1/4 of a RAV4 Prime or plug-in hybrid for every month. So on average, it would take each dealer in Europe 4 months to get just one RAV4 Prime or plug-in hybrid. All right, some notes here. All RAV4 Primes are made in Japan. The plug-in hybrid market is hotter in Asia and Europe, which I've already talked about. Massive shortages potentially for non-Japanese markets, which we're going to see for sure. It could take each dealer in the United States up to 10 months on average to get just one Prime, and it could take each dealer in the European Union up to 4 months on average to get just one Prime. All right, so while the RAV4 Prime might be the best vehicle in Toyota's lineup on paper, it really isn't expected to be available for the addressable market worldwide. Demand will far exceed the supply, which will be interesting to see how Toyota handles the whole situation. To me, it seems like they're digging themselves a hole. How will they get out of it? Who knows? I really don't know. Well, I think Lexus might come to the rescue here. So the second generation Lexus NX will debut in the fall of 2021. The current NX is based off the previous RAV4, and they share a lot of things. But the next NX is supposed to come out with a plug-in hybrid option using the same powertrain as the RAV4 Prime. This model is expected to be called the NX 450h Plus. It is quite possible that the RAV4 Prime is just a test mule in limited volume for the more luxurious and refined Lexus NX. And pricing I expect to be maybe $5,000 more than this RAV4 Prime is. So the RAV4 Prime will be nigh impossible to get if you're in the market based off of the dealer information that we got and the information that they included with the Japanese press release. So what is holding Toyota back from being able to produce and meet the expectations and demands for the worldwide market? Well, I think it comes down to one simple thing, and that's batteries. Toyota has to source its plug-in hybrid vehicle batteries from Panasonic, BYD, and CATL, all to the same spec, to be able to produce the same Toyota dependability and volume. This is not a small task, but I'm sure glad Toyota is finally pushing the bar further towards full electrification. So Toyota knows that fully battery electric vehicles are still quite a ways off. And by hybridizing and adding plug-in hybrids, they know they have a chance to dominate the next 10 years, possibly longer. So thank you so much for watching Luxurious Fleet. I can't wait to see you guys in the comments on this one. I know I got pretty fired up on this, which I typically do when it comes to Toyota more than any other brand. Well, good thing this wasn't Lexus because I'd probably have to rage quit. But anyways, I will see you guys down in the comments below, and you're welcome to check out my Patreon and PayPal me pages, as that helps me out just immensely. And I'll catch you guys in the next video, and until next time, peace out.